A lot of people are searching for self-love. But what if it's not something you find, but something you build? And what if the first step is just learning to trust yourself? Hi, I'm Jennifer, and this is Strong Women, Strong Stories, where we explore women's stories to learn about courage, growth, and how to live more authentically. Today, I want to talk about Weyward by Emilia Hart and how it's impacted something I'm working on in my own life, and that is learning to trust my own intuition. And this growth has also taught me a lot more about self-love. Weyward follows three women across generations that are navigating control, expectations, and what it means to live as themselves. And what stood out to me is that each woman has a moment where she has to decide if she's going to keep living by the rules that she's been given, or is she going to start trusting herself? For a long time, I didn't realize that I was carrying around beliefs that weren't actually mine. And here's some examples of those things that I carried around. Everyone's judging me. I'm not enough. If I'm going to try something, I first have to understand everything before I try it. If I live an authentic life, I will lose people. And the biggest one of all is that if I try something new and it doesn't work out, that I am a failure. These weren't just thoughts, they were patterns. And in Weyward, you see how powerful those inherited patterns can be until someone decides to break them. For me, that shift didn't happen all at once. I was in my late 40s doing therapy work when I realized that I am enough. And I also learned that there will be places and spaces where my voice is not heard and my voice is not valued. And I learned that I don't want to stay small and stay in those spaces. So one of the first things I did was to start finding places where I was being heard and valued. I found people who would accept me, and in those spaces, I can be my authentic self. And that gave me the confidence to carry that into other parts of my life. But the biggest shift in what I now see as self-love was learning to trust myself. And it started really simple. I stopped looking outside of myself for answers and started pausing and asking, does this feel right for me? The pause changed everything because from there, I started to speak up when things didn't align. I started to hold my ground. I started to say no without needing to explain why. And eventually act without first seeking permission. And now I'm learning discernment. The difference between intuition and fear or old patterns. This is what self-leadership looks like for me. My intuition may not be perfect, but it is mine. And I trust it more than I trust expectations. And that's why Weyward stayed with me, because these women didn't become powerful overnight. They became powerful the moment they started listening to themselves, even if it was uncomfortable, even when it meant doing things differently. They stopped asking for permission and started living in alignment. So if you are thinking about self-love right now, I'd invite you to start here. The next time you are unsure, take a pause. Ask yourself, what do I think? What feels right for me? You don't have to act immediately, but just learning to check in with yourself, you'll start to build self-trust. Self-love isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about learning to trust the voice that has been there all along. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you where you're starting to trust yourself. And I'll see you in the next chapter.